And an interesting contribution to the literature on this. Professor D. Watkins is on the line with us. He's a professor of writing at the University of Baltimore, editor-in-large at Salon.com, author of Beastside and the Cook-Up. His website is d-watkins.com, and of course Salon.com. And you can tweet him at dwatkinsworld, D-W-A-T-K-I-N-S-W-O-R-L-D. And he wrote this really brilliant and provocative piece. Why are cops okay with killing black people? Because American history teaches that we aren't fully human. Professor Watkins, welcome to the program.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Share with us the perspective, the thesis that you're laying out in this article, please.
Well, you know, the dehumanization of black people is something that has been present. Something that has been going on since our entrance into this country. You know, we didn't come here looking for opportunity. We came here enslaved. And if to go back to something I quoted in the article briefly, but didn't get a chance to elaborate on, was Thomas Jefferson's take on the Negro. He said that they were lazy and capable of grief. Now, Thomas Jefferson wasn't just some regular guy walking down the street. He was one of the greatest thinkers of his time, even still to this day, one of the most respected figures in American history.
He also ran a concentration camp called Monticello.
Yeah, exactly. And if he's telling you that we're incapable of grief, it makes it seem like it's okay to rape them and cut their stomachs open and stomp on the infants' skulls and to oppress us. And that's just something that has been in existence for a long time.
Yeah. So you're
a piece of American history.
Yeah. Yeah, well, clearly in American history, Europeans did not think that Native Americans were human and did not think that African Americans were human. And this insane racism has to stop. To what extent do you think that to this day, I mean, you call out some police officers by name in your article, or point to specific instances and suggest that they're behaving the way they are because they think that black people are not human. To what extent, how broadly do you think that kind of thinking is shared?
I think a lot of people don't say it, and a lot of people don't really take the time to flesh out some of these ideas. Now, I've never claimed to be a super expert on anything, but I've had situations where, you know, the whole, like, a lot of my friends are white. A lot of my colleagues are people, some of the most respected, you know, people I respect. So I have these conversations across racial lines all the time. And a lot of people aren't racist, but they are, you know, subject to racist ideas, and they don't even know.
Yeah.
There's a great book called Stamped from the Beginning that breaks it down. But it's kind of like, to give a quick example, I was at a museum a few weeks ago, and this museum wanted to figure out a way to connect with the community and get them more involved in art because, you know, this museum is a staple in the city, and we want everyone here to, you know, to have a feelings about, we want them to understand what art is too. And I'm saying, well, I'm actually from these neighborhoods you're talking about, and some of the best artists I know are from these neighborhoods. They just don't have access to this museum. But you instantly think that they're savage. They don't know what art is, or art doesn't exist. No, art to them and art to you are two different things, and you don't really have the right to sit back and just say that they're not aware of art or they don't know what art is because it doesn't meet your standard or because it's not on your radar. It's that kind of thinking that causes these issues.
Yeah. Yeah, whether it's physical art or whether it's musical art. I mean, you know, there's a long history of this.
Well, just to say that these people don't know what art is. They don't have it. We want to explore. We want to. It's that colonizing mentality. We want to come in and we want to tell you, you know. And it's kind of like it's the same thing happens. The same thing happens in academia. It happens across the board. You know, like I wrote in the article, I really feel like, you know, as a black person, you feel like you're already guilty, even if you didn't do anything. You know, I found myself in the past explaining myself to police officers in situations where I know I didn't do anything wrong.
Mm. Because of the color of your skin, in your opinion?
Because the color of my skin.
Yeah, yeah. I'm probably paraphrasing very badly, but as I recall, Joe Madison, African-American talk show host, colleague of mine, friend of mine, once made the comment I'm pretty sure it was on our TV show, of words to the effect that for many white people, no matter how bad life is, they still operate on the assumption that, you know, they are superior to any black person, and therefore they feel some security in their sense of self and all that. My experience is that most white people just have no contact with and no understanding of the black community or the black experience in this country, and that is at the core of white privilege, not having to think about race, not even having to engage in the conversations. But behind that, there's that, or along with that, there's that notion of white supremacy that I think undergirds a lot of this. I'm curious your thoughts and experiences on this, Professor Watkins.
Yeah, I think it's very true, and I also think that's dangerous. You know, you have a whole lot of white people in this country that are being oppressed in different ways, but they think that they're going to experience some sort of social mobility, and a lot of that hope isn't rooted on innovative thinking or connecting or ideas. It's based on whiteness.
Yeah.
So if you think you're going to get some type of reward or some type of social advancement through being white, it's probably not going. You're never going to be a part of that top 1%. It's already etched in stone.
Yeah.
You're not going to get any interest in. You will actually be better off abandoning that train of thought and building with some minorities on some different things, because together we could all advance. So, you know, it also, like, it's not good for black people, but then it's also not good for poor white people. Like, it's just not. The only people who benefit off of their thought are the people who've been benefiting off of generations and generations. And a lot of people just don't understand. Like, this is why I get really upset when they ask some of these professional athletes to step up and talk about these issues, because it's like, just because the system works for you, because you have amazing talent, it doesn't mean it's like that for everybody. Your reality is not our reality.
Right.
You know, the system has worked for me in some instances, but that's why I chose not to move from my neighborhood, because I need to constantly have proximity to these issues so I can do what I can do to change them. I can bridge that gap between white people who don't really get a chance to talk to black people, and black people who don't really get a chance to talk to white people, and Asians and Latino people. Like, I try my best to listen and understand everybody's experiences and truly get them together so that we can all move forward. That's the key. How do we understand that our social context isn't the social context of the next person? You could be a white man with one set of experiences. I can be a black man with a completely different set of experiences. But there is a gray area where we can connect and build. And until we understand that, you know, you're going to see rallies and protests in the street every week. Somebody's getting shot every week. I can't even keep up with the names and the hashtags no more. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's over 700 people have been killed by police in the United States so far this year, and a little short of 200 of them are African Americans. And
if you listen to the transcripts of some of these tapes, it's like, you know, that looks like a bad dude.
Right.
You know, he looks like a bad dude. What makes him look bad? What's so bad about him?
Yeah. Yeah, well, obviously, that he's black.
You're taught that he's big and black equals bad, and you're okay with that. And that's the problem. Like, we got to break the mentality down. So it's like, even if we fire all of these cops, which normally doesn't happen, but if we fire all of these cops involved in these shootings, you know, there's like 300, 400, 500 in the academy being indoctrinated with the same racist mentality that's going to cause the same things to happen over and over again. So we really got to pierce into culture and the way people are thinking, and the way how people are taking their experiences and using them as a guide to navigate, because right now it's not working.
So what, by the way, let me just insert something else here. There's a new book out, and I'm sorry, I'm running on memory here. I read a book review of it a couple of days ago in I think it might have been the New York Times, or maybe even the Financial Times. But it was a book where the author went into some of the southern states and interviewed a whole bunch of white folks who were voting for Donald Trump in this election cycle, and asked why. And some talked about abortion, some talked about Jesus, some talked about, you know, various kind of guns, various wedge issues. But at the end of the day, the one thing that they all agreed on was their perception, that they absolutely all agreed on, was their perception that government was taking their tax dollars and their opportunity associated with those tax dollars and giving it to people of color who were on welfare. And in fact, most of these people don't even pay taxes. In fact, the majority of the people who were interviewed were getting some sort of government assistance, whether it's food stamps or Social Security or whatever. How do we break through that?
Now, I was going to ask you, like, where can I'm a person of color. Where can I pick my check up at?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If that's the
Exactly.
If that's the case, like, I need mine. But so that, you know, and that is the same thing. That thinking is the same thing that destroys so many poor communities.
Yeah. And this is being
fact
used by Republicans to.
These people who he interviewed are not capable of coming up with their own ideas, so they can universally spew the same hate because somebody is telling them that this is true.
Yeah.
We have to get these people reading. These people have to learn how to use Google.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they have to get out and meet some people, and they got to quit watching Fox so-called news and listening to right-wing hate radio. I think that those two things are the source of an awful lot of this, although obviously this is in the DNA of this nation. And
I mean, you know, if you tell them that Donald Trump was awarded Liar of the Year by PolitiFact, Liar of the Year.
Yeah. They don't care. It's become kind of a, our tribe versus their tribe thing. And, you know, for many of these Trump voters, it's absolutely bizarre. Professor D. Watkins, it's a brilliant piece. It's an absolutely brilliant piece over at Salon. Why are cops okay with killing black people? Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Good talking with you.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.